Hi geographers, welcome to this case study for global hazards, the atmospheric hazard that is non-UK based, Typhoon Haiyan, that happened in November 2013. So where did Typhoon Haiyan happen? So it was a tropical cyclone that affected the Philippines in Southeast Asia in November 2013. And you can see the other countries too, that it also had an impact on: China, Vietnam, and Cambodia. It was one of the strongest tropical cyclones ever recorded, with winds of up to 313 kilometers an hour. In some areas, 282 millimeters of rain was recorded, much of which fell in under 12 hours. Waves of up to 7 meters in height battered the coastline, and the Philippines, as you know, is a fairly poor part of the world, with minimal investment in prediction, planning, and protection schemes. So why did it happen? We know that tropical cyclones or tropical storms happen in warm ocean water, and the air warms up, but it rises very quickly. It creates a really low pressure system, which sucks in air from those trade winds. The winds spiral and absorb more moisture from the ocean. Humid air forms really large storm clouds. Moist air cools and condenses, releasing energy to make the storm more intense. The cool air sinks, creating an area of calm, clear conditions, which we know as the eye of the storm. Tropical storms usually form between 5 and 30 degrees latitude. They form when the ocean surface temperature reaches at least 27 degrees due to solar heating to a depth of about 70 meters. The warm air above the water quickly rises, causing an area of very low pressure. As the air rises quickly, more warm, moist air is drawn upwards from above the ocean, creating strong winds. The rising warm air spirals upwards and cools. The water vapor it carries condenses and forms these huge cumulonimbus clouds. These cumulonimbus clouds form the eye wall of the storm. So what were the economic impacts of the typhoon? The overall economic estimation was around about £3.83 billion worth of losses. 6 million workers lost their sources of income. Major rice, corn, and sugar producing areas for the Philippines were destroyed, affecting the country's international trade and farmers' incomes. Tacloban City Airport was severely damaged, affecting business and tourism. And fishing communities were severely affected with the storm, destroying 30,000 boats and associated equipment. The social impacts of the typhoon: more than 7,000 people were killed, 1.9 million people were left homeless, and more than 6 million people were displaced. There were outbreaks of disease due to the lack of sanitation, food, water, shelter, and medication. Less affected areas reported that their populations more than doubled after the typhoon with the influx of refugees. The Tacloban city government was devastated, with only 70 people at work in the immediate days after the disaster, compared to 2,500 normally. Many were killed, injured, lost family, or were simply too traumatized to work. In the city of Tacloban, widespread looting took place in the days following the typhoon. Environmentally, there were widespread floods, damaging and in many cases destroying homes and businesses in coastal areas. The Philippine government estimated 71,000 hectares of farmland was affected. Thousands of trees were uprooted, leading to a massive release of carbon dioxide and loss of habitat, with resulting effects on wildlife. And flooding knocked over power barge 103, causing an oil spill affecting mangrove ecosystems. Major roads were blocked by trees and were impassable. So how did they respond to the typhoon? Even though lots of people lost their lives, it could have been much worse if not for the efforts of PAGASA, who are the Philippines Meteorological Agency. It broadcast warnings 2 days before Typhoon Haiyan hit, leading to the evacuation of 750,000 residents. The Philippines formally declared a state of national calamity and asked for international help 1 day after the Typhoon Haiyan hit the country. The UK government provided food, shelter, clean water, medicine, and other supplies for up to 800,000 victims. Several charities provided emergency aid like water, food, and shelter. In the longer term, they helped people get their livelihoods back on track, for example, by repairing fishing boats or distributing rice seeds. The UN launched an international aid appeal in December 2013 for £480 million to finance a humanitarian relief effort for 2014. And in 2014, the Philippines commissioned billboards in some of the world's prime advertising sites, such as New York's Times Square and London's Piccadilly Circus, to thank people for their help. That is the end of our case study on Typhoon Haiyan. Please feel free to give us a shout if you need any exam practice.